If I had known the wet strip of weed in my pocket would be the last proof that the night was real, I would have never tried to explain any of it logically. But back then, before the dream, before the breathlessness, before I started waking up in a panic at the sound of running water, I still believed nothing truly unexpected could happen on a simple solo hike. I didn't know that one ordinary lake could rearrange that belief as easily as shifting sand. Solo trips had always been my reset button. Predictable, quiet, clean. Same gear, same habits, same sense of control. Control was the whole point. Out there, every sound belonged to something you could name. Wind, wildlife, the settling of trees. But on the second day of this trip, as I climbed higher into the pines, the world felt off rhythm. The shadows stretched a little too far ahead of me. The air cooled a little too quickly. I blamed the elevation, even though elevation never made me double-check behind me. Around noon, sunlight broke through the trees, revealing a wide opening and the lake listed on my map, a dark, calm oval surrounded by rock and spruce. I'd seen plenty like it, but something about its stillness made me pause. No breeze, no ripples, no birds skimming the surface. Just quiet water holding the sky. Familiar, yet unsettling in a way I couldn't articulate. Still, it was exactly where I'd planned to camp that night, and routine felt safer than gut instinct. I chose a spot a few meters from the shore, close enough to hear the water, but not close enough to wake up soaked from condensation. The ground was dry and level, perfect for the tent. I set everything up, the small folding chair, my cookware, the fire ring, the neat pile of wood for the evening. Each item fell easily into place. Too easily, maybe. There's a strange tension in absolute order, but I pushed the thought aside and focused on the fading light. By sunset, the lake mirrored the sky so perfectly it made the horizon disappear. I cooked dinner, listening to the soft crackle of the fire and the occasional tap of water against stone. No wind, yet the lake kept making tiny sounds, as if something moved beneath the smooth surface. I tried talking out loud to break the tension, but my voice landed strangely, swallowed too quickly by the open air. Before turning in, I walked a slow circle around my setup, everything exactly as it should be. The air smelled of pine resin and cold stone. The night was deep blue, peaceful, almost hypnotic, and yet the lake's stillness seemed to hold its breath, like something waiting. I crawled into my sleeping bag and zipped the tent behind me. At first, the silence felt heavy, then comforting. My breathing steadied, my thoughts drifted, and exhaustion pulled me down. For a moment, I believed the unease was just in my head. Then a sound broke through the dark, soft, dragging, wet, not wind, not branches, not anything I could name. It came again, closer this time, like something shifting across soaked ground. My hand hovered over the zipper. My pulse hammered in my throat, and when I finally pulled the zipper down, the rush of cold air told me one thing. Whatever was out there, it hadn't been there when I fell asleep. The cold hit me the second I stepped out of the tent, sharp, wet, wrong. It hadn't been anywhere near this temperature when I fell asleep. My flashlight swept across the campsite, and my breath caught. My chair, my cookware, even the stones around the fire pit, all of it shone as if someone had dragged each item into the lake and placed it back exactly where it belonged. I hadn't heard a single splash. Not one. That was the first thing that made my skin crawl. The ground squished under my boots. I angled the beam down and froze. Dark streaks of Lake Tenaya, thick and slimy, snaked around the tent like something had circled it slowly, deliberately. I crouched and touched one patch, cold, fresh, unmistakably from the deeper water. But how had it gotten this far up the bank? And why was it all around me? The silence gave me nothing back. I turned the light toward the lake. Its surface looked like a sheet of black glass, too smooth, too still. No ripples, no fish, no wind stirring anything. Just flat darkness staring back. I whispered to myself that maybe an animal had dragged something ashore. The words fell flat. There were no prints, no scattered debris, nothing but water-slick objects arranged in perfect order. If it had been wildlife, they would have left chaos. This looked intentional. A tightness pressed under my ribs as I backed toward the tent. My own gear shimmered like it had been handled by invisible wet hands. I imagined something moving silently between the trees while I slept, close enough to touch my chair, my cup, the tent wall inches from my face. The thought made my pulse hammer. I wanted to pack and leave immediately, but the idea of hiking blind through the dark made my legs feel weightless. So I forced myself back inside. The tent felt warmer, safer, as if the thin fabric could shield me from everything outside. I zipped it shut, lay flat, and held the flashlight to my chest. My heartbeat kept stuttering, waiting for another sound. None came. Eventually, exhaustion dragged my eyes closed. The moment sleep took hold, everything vanished. I woke with my lungs bursting. No tent, no air, just freezing black water crushing my chest. My arms thrashed instinctively, but they felt slow, dragged downward by something gripping my leg. My ears filled with the low roar of being deep, too deep. When I opened my mouth to scream, icy water poured in, and the world folded into a single pounding heartbeat. I felt myself slipping under, vision narrowing, body shutting down. And then I was upright, gasping, dry, trembling. The tent ceiling hovered above me. My fingers clawed at the sleeping bag, expecting water. There was none. My leg ached, as if something had really pulled it. I couldn't shake the sensation of drowning. It clung to me like the cold. I needed air. Morning. Any proof the world was still solid. When I unzipped the tent and stepped outside, the sky was already turning pale. Dawn, safe, familiar. But as I looked around, my stomach dropped. In daylight, nothing was wet. No tinea, no slime, no soaked gear. Everything looked exactly as it had the night before. And the only thought that hit me harder than confusion was this. If the nightmare wasn't real, then when had everything dried? Daylight should have made things easier. It didn't. The moment I stepped out, everything looked exactly as it had the night before. The chair was dry. The cookware was where I left it. The fire pit held nothing but clean ash. No moisture, no tinea, no dark streaks in the dirt. The same perfect order I had set up yesterday. Except now, I couldn't trust any of it. I walked a slow, deliberate circle around the camp, scanning for anything that would confirm I wasn't losing my mind. But there were no signs left behind, no footprints, no water, not even a broken twig. The air smelled like morning, pine, dirt, smoke. Familiar, too familiar. My hands shook as I rolled up the tent. I kept glancing toward the lake, half expecting to see a ripple, a shadow, something rising to the surface. But it was flat, quiet, harmless. Just a patch of cold water in the mountains. Just a lake. But I couldn't shake the feeling that it had watched me sleep, that it had shown me something on purpose. I packed fast, faster than I ever had on a morning hike. My hands moved automatically. Stuff, zip, cinch, lift. I wanted distance between me and that shoreline. I didn't eat. I didn't even drink. My body felt wired, light, off balance. My heart hadn't slowed down since the dream. When I finally hit the trail, I expected relief. It didn't come. The forest looked the same as yesterday, but now I couldn't hear it the same way. Every bird call sounded like it was repeating. Every branch crackled a little too sharply. The woods weren't following me, but they weren't exactly letting me go either. An hour in, I stopped for the first time. I reached into my jacket for a protein bar, fingers brushing against something cold, wet, soft. I froze. I knew before I even pulled it out. A thin, dark green strip of lakeweed lay curled in my palm. Slimy. Real. Heavy in the way only waterlogged things are. It hadn't been in my pocket yesterday. I stared at it for a long time, my breath shallow, the forest suddenly too still. I turned the strip over between my fingers, as if some answer would reveal itself in the texture, the color, the smell. But it was just a weed. Except it wasn't. Not here. Not now. I thought about the dream, the water, the pressure on my chest, the way something had pulled me down and wouldn't let go. If that was only a nightmare, how did this get into my jacket? I stood there, rooted to the trail, trying to decide whether I should throw it away, leave it, pretend I never saw it. But I didn't. I folded it gently in a piece of tissue and slid it into the outer pouch of my pack. I needed to remember. Because maybe nothing happened. Maybe it was stress, fatigue, a vivid dream amplified by a restless brain. Or maybe it was something else. Something that came out of the water and put its hand on me just for a second, just long enough to remind me I'd been touched, and whatever it was, it wanted me to take something with me.